Am I audible? Can you please give me a thumb if video and audio is okay? Okay. Okay. So it is indeed a matter of immense pleasure and honor to welcome you all on behalf of Association of Zoologists for this event. Yes, I wish you all a wonderful and a thoughtful observance of this World International Yoga Day. Amidst the vibrance of Yoga Day, I again welcome you all. Hope participants are joining one by one. Okay, thank you. So we're moving forward. Amidst the vibrance of Yoga Day, I take the privilege to welcome you all on behalf of, again, I welcome you all on behalf of Association of Zoologists. And yes, I am Dr. Devanshi Joshi. Let me introduce myself that apart from being a member of this Association of Zoologists, I am a marine biologist. And, marine biology is the very important branch of zoology. And I have been working in the field of marine biodiversity and climate change, other vertebrates and invertebrates occurring in marine life. Okay, so let us understand what our association is. You know that Association of Zoologists is also having several members and directors and all, which are veteran in the field of zoology, and some young zoologists are also there. So since last 3 years, we have been doing several activities as well as achieved milestones. Our aim is to be the most representative and prominent platform for zoologists and to disseminate the knowledge of contemporary development in the field of animal science or zoology, say. Yes, our council of members include many senior zoologists and professors and researchers. That is, you might be aware of the president, Professor P.C. Mankodi. Apart from this, several zoology professors, Dr. Jala, Dr. Ranjit Sidevkar, Dr. Jigna Desai, Dr. Nishit Dharaya, Dr. A.H. Dholakia, Dr. B.B. Radaria, Dr. Professor N.K. Jain, Dr. Bharat Gohil, and Dr. Chirag Acharya all have remained the part of our association. Okay, our mission includes several important things. That is, we want to strengthen the bonds with allied subjects too, not remaining limited, to enhance capacity of young zoologists also, yes, and to advocate, of course, for zoology. We also want to encourage collaborative research, learning, and innovative program with other fields where animal science can contribute in interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary way for solving important issues affecting globally. So what we are working for and what we basically keep in our mind while our activities, that is, we want to initiate and to encourage the research, joint research, not in the separate stream, to organize scientific gathering in the form of seminars, symposia, conference, and workshops at the state as well as national level, the way we are doing right now, to initiate regular training programs in different fields of knowledge in zoology, to promote young zoologists through small grant fellowships and travel assistance, etc. We also have in our mind the aim to provide the services to society as a zoologist for better tomorrow, to encourage students to study zoology and build their career in the field of zoology as well as animal science. And the most important, ultimately, we want to conserve the animals and the environment they are living in. Next. Okay, so presently we have 60 members in our association. Our head office is based on Department of Life Sciences, Gujarat University, Ahmedabad. You can reach us through our email ID, that is zoologistassociation2020@gmail.com. Yes, we also have other social media network and all. So you also can join our Facebook link. It is very much here. You can get us on Instagram at zoologist_association. You can also get all our lectures and activity at our YouTube channel, AOZ Association of Zoologists. Okay, so this was a brief overview of what our association is, what we are engaged, and what milestone we already have achieved. So coming to the most important and next part of our lecture is yes. Today we are going to study. We are going to learn something from a very senior person. How to introduce him? I really feel very privileged to introduce such a senior person. Yes, he is Dr. Narendra Joshi. Sir is presently working as project director at Vivekananda Prabodhini, Auro University, Mumbai. Apart from that, I mean, what to say, sir is also an academician, he is also a trainer, he is also a consultant, and also a trainer, educator, etc. And when I saw his profile, sir has completed his BTech and MTech in engineering field, manufacturing, engineering, etc. And then his Sir has completed his PhD in spiritual science, I think, Arvindo Studies from American University. So he is holding a quite, vibrant and uh, variegated profile. So, not wasting much time, I would now like to request our today's speaker to talk on ancient scriptures and the science of mind. So, please, over to you. So, you're not audible.
Can you hear me now? Am I audible?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. Now we can.
So first and foremost, thank you so much for inviting me, AOZ Association of Zoologists, especially Dr. Nehal, and for this introduction, Dr. Devanshi. Uh, Thanks for making me part of this wonderful event. And I got some time with me, but not enough to explain this type of subject. So till I will try to do my best and straight away start my presentation, and thereafter if there are some questions or discussion, then definitely we can do it. So the subject today which I'm going to speak upon is ancient scriptures and the science of mind. And from the time when human beings came on this earth and they started thinking, in fact, that's the other way around. Because they started thinking, that's why they became human beings. Because in Sanskrit they say mananati va manushya, the one who can think, one who has got mind, he will be called as human being. And that's precisely the, you can say, the biggest ornament, the biggest asset which the human beings have got is the ability to think. And also the science of thinking, science of mind, was another very important point which has been there from the very starting of the history, both in east as well as west. If you go to the west, there is of course we have to go to the luminaries like Plato, who has famously described human psyche as two horses and a charioteer. And he says horse represents the instincts. The one horse is instinct, the other horse is emotions, and the person who is holding the reins, the that he is the rational mind, and the rational mind should control both emotions and instinct. This is the way one prominent theory was there. Carl Sagan, we all know him for his Cosmos. He has brought out in his 1977 book, The Dragons of Eden, very, you can say, path breaking, beautiful book, a theory called as triunion brain. And a leading neuroscientist, Lida Feldman Barrett, she has challenged this idea of Carl Sagan. What is that idea? I'll just come in the following slide. But she says that this may not be the true, that human brain has evolved in three layers. because there is a common brain plan which is shared by all the mammals and the vertebrates. So that's how the uh, Lisa Feldman has told in her very. You can see that her narration as well as video, beautifully made video on why she is countering a great person like Carl Sagan, that it may not have developed in stages. Sagan says that it has been developed in three stages, but she now starts telling that it must have been a common plan in all the species, and the development of sensory system led to the emergence of brain, and then hunting and predation may have initiated an arms race to become more efficient and powerful predators. Like that, that is her theory. And there are going to be a lot of theories, and then we will try to bring it face to face with the Eastern theories, especially the way Indian rishis and the sages from the Rigveda to the Mahayogi Sri Aurobindo, how they have thought about that. So coming back to Carl Sagan's celebrated idea of brain being evolved on the three stages, and I know I'm talking to some of the very prominent zoologists. That's why I told that maybe I can start from this point. And they said that uh, initially there was a lizard brain, which can be seen here by this green part, and as it went ahead, it became a sort of the second part of it, and ultimately the mammal brain was the second one, and that's the blue part, and then ultimately it is the human brain. So from lizard type of so-called lower species from our point of view, traditional point of view, to the mammals, and then ultimately to the human beings, the brain has got different layers of its development. That is the theory which has been propounded. But when she counters it, we also come to know that there is still lot of differences, lot of gray areas, despite advances in neuroscience, genetics. The question how the brain must have evolved over the period of time in the history still has been very elusive. And let me go one step ahead to tell you that it is not just how the brain evolved, but what is brain? What is mind? Is brain synonymous with mind? How our intelligence comes? Where is the place for ideas, ideation, creativity? All these questions are still very elusive, and people are still finding it's very difficult to answer this. What are the dominant ideas and doubts raised in the West? Let us take that first, and then we'll come back to our own Bharatvarsha, India. So some of the doubts which are very probably known to you, but still I will list it together. That do all the species, all the objects have life? Do they have mind? Do they have consciousness? In the human beings also, whether all of them are having mind and brain, or only some privileged people have got it? Whether both the genders have got same thing or it is different? This type of doubts were also being, uh, you can say, voiced. And with all sincerity, they thought that do all of them have soul, or only some people, only human beings have got soul? Whether lower species are also having this type of things or no, or maybe it is very primitive and it's not as comparable as human beings have got. Something like that was in the mind. And then whether brain is synonymous with mind or there is a difference. If it is difference, then how that different things have come together, from where the mind has come inside the brain, from where that thinking power, analyzing power, discrimination. If brain is only something like a some you can say neurological and biological part, which is composed of so many, you just now saw, so many parts are there, right, left, and up and low. Four quadrants are there, hemispheres are there, centers are there, all that is known now. But then point is, in that supposedly biological thing, from where a something which is not exactly jada, which is not just you can say uh, devoid of consciousness, in that thing how the consciousness comes, from where the mind comes. And then this whole problem became a very prominent problem since history. And even today, when we are in the age of artificial intelligence, in robotics and virtual reality, which happens to be my topic of, as she mentioned, that was a topic of my PhD, and I tried to solve this a typically technical problem. The zenith of technical achievement today is in artificial intelligence and robots and all. But I wanted to see it in the light of Upanishads and Sri Aurobindo and all that, whether they can show us some path to go ahead, because people are completely perplexed and lost to understand how this whole thing can be put together, from where that human mind can come, from where that possibilities and grandeur of humanness can come in that. Because to mimic something and just make believe that things are like a brain, like a human being is easy, but that's not the reality. It's very clearly not the correct thing which we are talking about. So now we go ahead. If you can make the slides bigger, it will be better, because they can see the read it. Yeah. So, if you compare that with the profound psychological thought, and as I said, I will take an overview of today's presentation and then leave some time for our discussion. And here, the entire idea of human being, the soul, the mind, the objects of knowledge, they have been very beautifully put into a hierarchy. I just give two examples for that, one from Kathopanishad and one from Bhagavad Gita. Kathopanishad gives the here the simile of a chariot, just like Plato, but then here it is much more profound and detailed. That there is a horses, and then there are reins, and there are objects. And horses, if not controlled, they are going to go to all the directions, and the life becomes aimless and directionless. But these reins are actually something which is the prana. So there is Indriya, the Pancha Jnanendriya and Pancha Karmendriya, five organs of knowledge and five organs of action. But and they are constantly going towards the external objects of taste, smell, and touch, and all that part. See, sight, and hearing. But then, if these horses, this energy goes and dissipates without any purpose, then life cannot be purposeful, cannot be fulfilled. We cannot fulfill the mission of being the chosen creation of the creator. Sakrutam Bataiti, as the Upanishads put it. So we need to do something different. We need to pull these reins and then use that pranayama and the pratyahara, and ultimately we should be able to control that through the sarathi, the one who is driving the chariot. And then that is to be done by the mind, illumined mind, not the just general mind, but the very very composed, calm, and shuddha buddhi, which we talk about. And then ultimately the one sitting behind, the owner of that chariot, or the you can say the one who is actually being driven, is the soul or the atma. So Indian idea with the same symbol now goes to much more detail in the understanding of psychology of human beings. Gita also, Bhagavad Gita gives a beautiful shloka for that. Indriyani paranyahu, indriyastu param manaha, manasastu para buddhi, yo buddhi paratastu saha. Beautiful hierarchy. There is no confusion at all. And there are so many things, so many examples I can give. I will give some of them in today's session in the limited time, but there is profound, deep, all sided, all quadrant, and very thought provoking ideas in Indian Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, Puranas, Tantra, yoga literature, and you just name it, and there is going to be always thought of this fundamental idea which we have been perplexed with in the modern age, thanks to the westernization and colonization of our minds. But there comes the profound idea from our own land. For example, Kathopanishad starts talking about Shreyas and Preyas. So, what is desirable and what is ultimately fulfilling you? What is immediately giving you pleasures and entertainment and happiness, and what is ultimately right for you? These are two different possibilities, and there are choices to be made at every point of time. Nirakshira Viveka, Shreyas Preyas Viveka. That's why there is the adhishthana of buddhi. The intellect has to be sharpened, and it has to be a clarified intellect and purified emotions. This combination is going to work for us. So very nicely put between this Kathopanishad Samvada of Nachiketa Yama. And there comes some key ideas in that. For example, Angushtha Matram, the psychic being, what Sri Aurobindo says, or in simple words, we can say the Jivatma, or the flame which is inside us, the spark of divine which is inside us, has been enveloped by all our Deha Buddhi, the idea of I being the body, I being this name, fame, and my all the other paraphernalia I have attached to that. I have become a false me. I have created a very lower side of me, a smaller version of me by my I, by ahankara, by ego. And if you just remove that, yatha darsho malenacha, if you remove the dust from the mirror, you can see your own reflection. If you remove the you can say ash from the fire, the fire will start igniting again. The fire is already there, the spark is already there. What is required is this removal of the in between, whatever has been ignorance, avidya. And then it says that Angushtha Matram, that size of the thumb is at the Hridayakasha. Then Kashchit Dhira, there is another shloka from Kathopanishad which tells you that for doing this we require rare hero. Very rare type of heroes can only do it. It's not everybody's cup of tea. What he did, he turned the entire research into a different direction. Research methodology he changed. Ultimately, initially everybody was trying to search the answer outside, in the outside world, going to labs, finding out statistical data, taking the observations here, and everything they did. Massive data collection as we do today. But yet there was no possibility of getting knowledge. So this rare hero, Yashit Dhira, he said, yes, something is going fundamentally wrong. Now let me change the direction of this research. And he turned his eyes inside, out the chakshu. So the knowledge, the insight, all the ideas are going to come when you turn yourself inside. Avrutta chakshu literally means turning inside. And that means you have to first find out what is inside you. There is tremendous complexities. As we go to the end of this, you'll see there are so many things inside you only. Once you structure that, once you first of all properly make them organized, then there is some possibility that you can do something outside also. So that's why there is a battlefield in our own self, which is this Kurukshetra of Kaurava, Pandava, Deva, Asura. This Manthana, Amruta Manthana is always going inside us and outside also, outside and inside. And that is the beautiful idea of Kathopanishad. Ayamatma Brahma, that is the Mahavakya from Mandukya Upanishad. Mandukya also gives you different stages of consciousness. There is waking consciousness, sleeping consciousness, dreaming consciousness, and beyond that there is Turiya. So four layers of my own self. And then there is, as we go ahead, I will just narrate that because there is a beautiful passage from letters on yoga and synthesis of yoga, where we are. This is not just simply waking, does not mean literally waking and sleeping. This is the whole truth behind human psychology as well as the world cosmology. And that is just these four stages are able to explain you everything. And there is a warning also given here. But Isha Upanishad, which tells us that everything is pervaded by Isha, by the divine. God is in all is in God, God is all. So we need not, the beautiful psychological idea here is that if we are one with everything, then kab moha ka shoka. That also another line from Upanishad. That why there has to be a despair, why there has to be some desperation, and why you feel angry, why you feel fear, why you feel jealous. There is no need of all these things because everything has been ultimately divine. That's a, I think, very, very, you can say, path-breaking idea by Isha Upanishad. But at the same time, there is a warning also. If you only follow the knowledge path and the external words exploration part, you land into a trouble. If you follow only the path of avidya, you are still in the dark, going to go into darkness. But if you follow only vidya, again there is going to be darkness. That's why science and spirituality, external nature and internal nature, both have to go hand in hand. And that's what Swami Vivekananda was telling in his wonderful Chicago lectures and other Indian lectures, that now what we require is each soul is potentially divine, and the goal in this life is to manifest this divinity within by controlling nature, external and internal. And that's entire quotation comes in the beginning of his Raja Yoga book. Then there is another Mahavakya from Aitariya Upanishad called Prajnanam Brahma. Now there comes the differentiation. What is Jnana? What is Ajnana? What is Sanjnana? What is Prajnana? These are not same like what modern people talk about. That okay, I got knowledge. What do you mean by knowledge? What layer of knowledge you are talking? So is it by analysis? It is by synthesis? It is by what? What is the methodology? And then we develop the one of the unique ways of epistemology, how knowledge can be gathered. What do you mean by getting a knowledge of something? And that's why there were so many methods, so many pramanas were developed afterwards in our Shad Darshanas. So Shad Darshanas are also a immensely powerful way to understand psychology. Sankhya is there. Vaisheshik is full of physics and the physical laws as well, apart from psychology. But beauty of Vaisheshik Sankhya is they do not separate physical world from the psychic world. They say these two are just the same way of uh, two sides of the same passage, which is taking us to the divine. Physics and psych are one, and this today quantum physics is telling the same thing. Physics and psych is one thing. You don't separate both of them. They cannot be separated. There is no duality. There is Advaita. There is oneness in entire thing. Ekam Sad Vipra. And then there are so many like that. I can go on speaking, but today I'm just giving you an overview about it. Tattvamasi, Chandogya Upanishad tells this beautiful story that this microcosm which you are searching for is same as your microcosm. What you are searching outside is actually inside you. You are that. So your inside truth is actually what is reflected of the outside truth, and the outside world is actually reflection of your both vice versa. And that's why Manayava Manushyanam Karana Bandhana Moksha. Vivek Chudamani by Adi Shankaracharya tells this another Mahavakya to us, another gem for Indian psychology. that mind is the reason of your bondage. Manaiva manushyanam karan bandhana mokshayo. Mind is the reason of your bondage. Mind is the reason why you are imprisoned. And mind is the ladder of your liberation. Karan bandhana mokshayo. If you want to liberate, what is the way? Use your mind. If you want to remain imprisoned, remain despondent, remain completely dejected in your life, use your mind. Your mind is the key to your liberation. Your mind is the reason for your bondage. One of the great understanding of psychology from India. Similarly, manatatra layam yati tat padam vishnu. Matlab, where the mind becomes no mind. When mind does not remain, it's that chatterbox is stopped. And that's what yoga also says, that yoga chitta vritti nirodha. Chitta vritti should be completely stopped. So when mana becomes laya, when you go to the completely stoppage of your constantly thinking mind, that's where the feet of the Vishnu will be there. Another line is, it is, nityo nityanam chetas chetananam. It is conscious within the unconscious. It is eternal within the constantly changing world. So you need to search that. We say everything is pervaded by consciousness. And today physics again tells, modern physics tells that consciousness is singular, of which there is no plural. You see, modern science is just again telling what Upanishads or Vedas are telling. So beautiful. And let me tell you, the biologists, the people who have worked on the zoology, people who have worked on psychology, people who have worked on quantum physics, people who have worked on the cosmology, all come to this point that ultimately they start telling something which is very similar to these Mahavakyas. And people are startled how this is so similar to each other, because both of them have gone to the same state of exploration. One has gone outside, the other has gone inside. But ultimately, Avrutta Chakshu, inside exploration, has given the path faster. And then ultimately, both should go hand in hand, external and internal. We are not trying to demean the external efforts, they are equally important. But then they won't be useful if there is nothing happening inside. That's why you see today we have got all these things which are helping us. Yavat drushtir bhur madhye. If you put your concentration at the middle of your eyebrows, then you are going to get that way out. That is another Mahavakya. And this is exactly what yoga is telling us. This is one of the chakras, Ajna chakra, where actually you can control your will, and then you can go ahead in this evolution of your own being. The Kundalini can go from the Muladhara to the Sahasrara. So this Bhru Madhya, the point between the eyebrows, is extremely important. That's why this line, that Yavat Drushtir Bhruvar Madhya, Bhru Madhya means that point. And then Aham Brahmasmi, you will realize that I am that which I was searching for. Yat Pinde Tat Brahmande. What is there in the smaller world is same as the larger world. It's not only that all species will have mind and the thinking power, but there is a cosmic mind, there is a universal mind which is behind all that. And that universal mind, or the universal pattern, the universal design, is not mechanical. It has got consciousness. She is the Adi Maya, Adi Shakti, Ichha Shakti, Kriya Shakti, Jnana Shakti, Brahma Shakti, Shiva Shakti, Om. And that realization came to our people, our rishis, and they said, yes, this is what we were talking about. This is that Shakti which is behind all. Consciousness is singular, of which there is no plural. Modern people tell, modern scientists say. And therefore, Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya tells us that Yan Neti Neti Vachane, this is not that, this is not that, this is not that. When you start discarding what is not it, what remains is what actually is. That is the way to actually go deeper into the psychology. Mano Buddhya Ankar, Chittani Naham, Nacha Shrotra Jivhe, Nacha Ghrana Netari. Now, let us understand where we just saw the Triunion brain theory of Carl Sagan, and there they were saying there is a lizard brain, and there is a mammal brain, and there comes the human brain. And why? Because evolution of species somewhere is compared with evolution of brain. This is a common fallacy, that we want to compare things and we think that same thing has happened in all the spheres. But that is not the reality. India says something different has happened. Bharata says that there is a different way of things which evolution are going to take in human beings, not like animals, not like other species. It's a very sakrutam patiti. It's a very special design which has been made by the God, and God expects something different from us. It's not just as they have evolved, we are going to evolve. So what is that special? So we got the understanding from people like Bertrand Russell and Julius, Huxley, and all these great people from West also. And there is a line beautiful. They say that up to human beings, the evolution has happened biological and physiological. There are changes biological, physiological, but after human beings, it will not be that. So there was tail, the tail has gone. There were horns, the horns have gone. The teeth have become different. The use of the your front two legs has become different. You can grip things, you can write with that. So many things have happened with that evolution, which was physiological evolution. So up to that stage, it was looking physiological. Now it appears there is no physiological evolution. Last so many thousands and millenniums of years, the human beings have remained as they are: two legs, two hands, and 2 ears. Nothing extra has happened. Do you mean evolution has stopped? Do you mean that nothing else is going to happen now? That's not the truth. So Indian psychology, which is actually very much related and in fact ingrained with the Indian philosophy, it says that yes, what Huxley and the Russell are telling is correct. Up to human beings, the evolution is biological and physiological, but now it is going to be psychological. Now it has happened. Evolution is still going on, but it is subtle. It is not very clearly seen outside. It has become sociological, psychological, deeply spiritual. So that's now going to the next stage, spiritual evolution. And we know this by the Dashavatara idea from our tradition. Every Indian knows this. There is a Matsya there is a Kurma Avtara, and then there is a Varaha Avtara, and then there is a Narsiha Avtara, then Vamana Avtara. Up to Vamana Avtara, before Vamana Avtara, there is all animal civilization. I mean, there is a evolution happening by the law of the species lower than the human beings. It is physiological and biological. The external forms are changing. The things are changing at the external part. From the Vamana, which is a dwarf, the psychological and spiritual and you can say psychosocial evolution starts. He is a human being, but still a dwarf. Then when the next one comes, of course, before Narsiha is there, which is the combination of the animal and the man. But from Vamana, the actual human being starts, and from that we come forward to the Parshurama, who is actually a complete human being, but still he gets very angry, short-tempered, and that's why the raga, lobha, and the irsha and the feeling of taking revenge on someone. So these are all human beings, but still the psychological evolution is not complete. And then we take it further, and then we understand the Sri Rama comes there. The first Maryada Purushottam understanding of it, where the complete psychological, you can say, possibilities have been first time open, ethical and the moral ideas have come inside. And then next stage comes Sri Krishna. So actually, it's a very deep understanding of why Dashavataras are so important. It's not just some myth and some Puranic tale, and that's why Dashavataras so deeply gone in Indian mind, common people, that nobody has opposed ideas of evolution in East, whereas West, when Darwin and Lamarck was telling them, there was severe opposition because it was against this fundamental biblical or the Abrahamic idea that God created the entire universe in 6 days and 7 days he was taking rest. That is not the idea. So that's why this psychosocial evolution and ultimately spiritual evolution is the idea of India. And many texts you can see, Sanskrit texts are there, Buddhist texts are there, Jain texts are there. In India, throughout India, you'll see there are so much of literature available. It's full of colors and the beautiful pictures and text and some calculations. And if time permits, sometimes we can go in deep into so many scriptures which are available. But ultimately, as we said, there is a biological evolution, there is a psychological evolution, and there is a social evolution. From the common man, we need to go to the Buddha man or to the enlightened one. And that's why this whole thing should come hand in hand. For human beings, we now require not just physical health and then the the biological wellness coming out of the genetic vulnerabilities and the disabilities, to a very niramay nirogi thing, which again comes from the yoga. Is first sharira madhyam khalu dharma sadhanam annam brahmeti vejanat. So this taking care of your body and all the material part is equally important, but not enough, because after that is going to be the your vyadhis coming because of adhi, the mental disorders which result into the physical disorders. Now that is the part about your how to cope with the emotions, with your thoughts, with your disturbances, and with your several things which are disturbing and dividing you, completely divided within and without. We are not far away from schizophrenics. Schizophrenics are not able to handle that. We are somehow handling it, says one of the great author today. And therefore these social skills, personal skills, esteem and all that part comes in the understanding. Ultimately the social part again comes with the peers, with the family, with the schools and the other establishments, offices where we have to be member. Ultimately this whole thing has come together to create a human being today. So that is where human psychology we need to understand, from biological to psychological, from psychological and social to ultimately spiritual. That has to be the journey for human beings. India went in that direction very well. As we all know, there is a gross body, there is going to be a subtle body, and then ultimately there is going to be the Atman. There are different chakras which are given, and from the Muladhara, slowly it goes up to the Sahasrara, the Kundalini. So this whole idea has been explored in many texts in India, right from Vedas to the Upanishads, and then ultimately again put into the several yoga texts and the Puranas, Tantra, and Bhakti literature also. We knew that even later literature of 15th, 16th century, from 10,000 BC to this type of consistency in the thought is remarkable. No other civilization has got that. One of the most remarkable idea in Indian psychology is Panchakosha, which comes in Taittiriya Upanishad, and this is one of the most, you can say, uh, perhaps most used idea in yoga people, but still much more is to be explored. And there is the Annamaya Kosha, which is the physical sheath of a person. There is a Pranamaya Kosha, which is the vital sheath, and then comes the Manomaya or the mind sheath, and then comes the Vijnanamaya Kosh, which is the higher mind or the illumined mind, and finally there is a bliss or the Anandamaya Kosha. And each one has got something to do with us. What we are going to do with that, how you are going to handle that. There is a we can make a ray diagram like that and can have some possibilities for each one of them. So what we see as ourself right now is just a small fraction of what we really are, and there are so many sheets in us. That is the wonderful story from Taittiriya Upanishad, where the uh, Bhrigu, the Shishya or the disciple, goes to the Guru and says that I want to know the reality, I want to know the truth. And then Guru says, go and find out yourself. I'm not going to spoon feed you. That's not Indian way of education. We understand psychology very well. So go and find out. I will guide you. I will mentor you, but will not spoon feed you. And then he goes back, first finds that this is a physical reality. Everything is physical. And he comes back and tells his Guru, Annam Brahme Divyajanat. Anna Deva Khal Vimani Bhutani Jayanti. Annena Jatani Jivanti. Annam Pratna Visamvishanti Tad Vidnyaya. Then Guru says, fine, great, you have got some truth, but this is the lower truth. Why don't you go further? Why don't you find out the further truth, deeper truth? He goes again, comes back and says, Mano Brahmeti Vijana. Like that, Prano Brahmeti Vijana. Prana Deva. So Pran is everything, the energy is everything. Prana Rai, that is matter and energy's tussle has been explored in Prashnopanishad. 6 questions, 6 answers, Prashnopanishad. Taittiriya Panchakosha and Ananda Mimansa. Kathopanishad, all that what I just now said, Yama Nachiketa Samvada. And then we have got Avrutta Chakshu and other ideas. Mandukya, this 4 states of waking and sleeping and the deep sleep and the Turiya. And then every Upanishad is full of that. Brihadaranyaka Upanishad tells about the why we start liking someone, why there is a affection, why there is rejection, why these emotions have to be first understood in the terms of deeper psychology. So every aspect has been taken beautifully. We should know what is my real me and what is the apparent me, and why we are so much in cross with that apparent me, the false me. So to understand that, we need to understand this 5 sheets approach and also see the subtle body, gross body, and the causal body, and the ultimate, the Atman, which is inside. So there is a yoga will have 3 parts: Bahiranga, external part; Antaranga, which is the internal part; and the Antaratma, which is the innermost part. And Pratyahara is that middle stage between the Bahi and the Antar. The external part, Yamaniyama, Asan Pranayama, is the external part. Now we could bring everything inside, Avrutta Chakshu, and then start the Dharana, Dhyan, and Samadhi. The Ashtanga Yogas, next steps are actually from the Antaranga, it goes inside. And there are many other civilizations who have come close to that. This is it dolls from the some of the Russian literature, where they say there is a larger doll than the smaller, than the smaller, smaller, smaller. But the way Indian people could explore it, go to the depth of it, and try to put it into a scientific manner, perhaps is unparalleled. So that is how we get this idea of many selves within us. Now, when Sri Aurobindo's quote this is, he says, the practice of yoga brings us face to face with an extraordinary complexity of our own being, the stimulating but also embracing multiplicity of our personality, the rich, endless confusion of nature. As soon as we go deep within ourselves, and yoga means a plunge into all the multiple profundities of the soul, we find ourselves subjectively as man in his growth has found himself objectively, surrounded by a whole complex world which we have to know and to conquer. As we start this yoga practice, today is the International Day of Yoga, and this auspicious day we are talking this. So Indian yogis, Indian rishis, Indian luminaries, Indian scientists, they all were one. Mantrin, Kavi, Manishi, Rishi, they understood there is enormous complexity within. And we need to first structure that, we need to first organize that. There are many parts and planes of being. Psychology has hardly understood anything about that. Just three layers here, two layers here, five layers here. Abraham Maslow goes up to the five stage of motivation and all. Freud talks about two, three things. Jung talks about a couple of more things because he was contacting with the Eastern people, and so on and so forth. But the profundity, the depth is still missing, and that is where Indian yoga, Indian Sahitya, Indian literature, ancient and medieval, should come to our rescue. And this, if you go outside also, this is the quote which I just now use, is from Synthesis of Yoga by Mahayogi Sri Aurobindo. He further says, the most discerning discovery is to find that every part of us, intellect, will, sense mind, nervous, desire self, the heart, the body, has each as it were its own complex individuality and natural formation which is independent of rest. There are many I between me, my physical being, my vital being, my spiritual being. They are all at fight with each other. You have to understand first of all that there are many voices coming inside. Be conscious of that. Start listening to your own tussles and struggles inside. Those who understand it, they become restless. But as Socrates says, a pig satisfied is no way better than a human being which is dissatisfied. You need to get that creative dissatisfaction first of all, that we should start creating by getting dissatisfied out of this tussle between ourselves, that we need to first clarify it, clear it, organize it, that I cannot have so many people inside me warring with each other. One says do this, other says do that, and I am not able to cope up with these multiple voices inside me. Listen to them, understand them, structure them, organize them, pacify them, and don't become prey to them. That is how yoga further goes. And then that ego, ahankara, which is trying to block this progress of yours, should be first of all conquered to become the right ego. That I am belonging to something, some larger cause. I belong to the divine. I am surrendering myself to the divine. And therefore this consciousness, these Puranic legends have got from Vedas. I'm taking some in the limited time, I'm just taking some examples, but I urge all of you to go into this entire scriptures of India. There is a it deserves, and we are having a very elaborate courses on that. On Vedas we have got, on Upanishads we have got separate things, on Puranas we have got courses, on Ramayana Mahabharata there are courses, and so many things are required to be learned. Yoga, of course, we have got basic and the advanced courses. Ayurveda, we have got some courses, because they are all linked to each other. They are all part of Indian vision. And therefore even the legends like this, now when we say Indra has killed the Vrukasura, or some cows have been stolen by this Rakshasa or the Asura, and then the god has rescued him, we should not take them literally. It's profound psychology. It's all about psychology, and everything means something else. What is Saraswati? What is Ila? What is Sarma? What do you mean by moon? What is meaning of sun? So everything in India is actually having a surface meaning, and then there is also a deeper psychological meaning, and third level, it is again spiritual meaning. It appears on three levels. As is your capacity, the guru will open that channel to you. If you know only physical, annam brahmeti vajana, you will say, okay, good, nice, you understood. Indra is fighting with Vrukasur, nice, learn this story. You are happy with that story. You think Saraswati is a river and Sarma is something and Dakshina is something, Ila is something else, fine. At least start with that physical idea. Now go to the psychological deeper thing. Ila means truth, vision, revelation. Saraswati means truth, audition, revelation. And that's why she is playing Veena. Sarma is actually the symbol of intuition. Dakshina is actually separative discrimination. Everything is connected with some deeper psychology and spirituality. So we need to decipher this entire literature of India, go in depth of it to really understand what do you mean by these things, what do you mean by all these powers, and how to reach to the truth through that. So the sapta lokas, the different lokas which are there, bhur bhuva swaha, in the Gayatri mantra we talk about that. Again, that is a beautiful idea of many universes. Science is coming to the same idea now. There can be many universes, there can be many consciousness. As you grow, you are going to see a different thing. So there is physical, vital, mental, supramental, ananda world or the jnana world, then tapaha world or the chit tapas world, and ultimately there is a satya or the sat world. There is another idea of external manifestation of the mind. And then there is different lokas from the lower hemisphere, upper hemisphere. There is antada, parardhata, and there is a lead in between the two. What we talk today, also if you have done Surya Namaskara, then there is a shloka for the god sun, and we say Hiranmayena Patrena Satyasya Pihitam Mukham, because he has covered that sheet, the lead between the lower hemisphere and the upper hemisphere. This is composed of four elements, upper is composed of three elements. This is that seven things which are actually part of our larger mind, the cosmic mind, universal mind, you can say the external macrocosm part of it. and then also there is a microcosm, the inside part of it. So when we learn all these things, we come to face with some very complex reality where there is a psychic being, and there is a physical plane, there is a vital plane. There is, I'm not going to take you here because this session is just the introductory session, but just I wanted to show the diagram to show that yes, this is the thing which actually is the reality. These are those panchakoshas, but there is also something which yet not, it is not yet gone to our understanding. We have not yet reached that. So we need to take care of these planes and parts of the being, and ultimately the jivatma should come with become one with the paramatma, and that is the ultimate purpose of the human life and existence. But to come to that point, this complexity has to be first taken care of. The deeper study, the introspection, avrutta chakshu, and then going to that dhyan, dharana, and ultimately either you do by work or do by workship, or do by psychic control or do by philosophy. There are many ways of that. You can, if you are action oriented, do by karma yoga, do dispassionately your work. If you are devotional or emotional person, then you go for the bhakti marga. If you are the psychic control expert or you like that type of things, breathing control and other things, asanas, go for the raja yoga. And if you are intellectual person, you like to debate things, you like to think intellectual on things, go for the jnana marga, jnana yoga. But in one or more or all of these, use them and ultimately become the uh, sort of the right person in the hands of the god. He has created you for a larger purpose. Let us fulfill that. So that is the understanding of Indian psychology. Indian scriptures have talked about it very profoundly, but in a very brief time, I thought I will just take an overview of it so that we can get more interested, start learning more about it, and become the worthy children of this great land of ours. Thank you so much. I stop here, and if any questions are there, or any observations or any further additions are there, they can be taken. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Nihal Shah, for giving me an opportunity on behalf of AOZ to vote of thanks and for ancient sculpture and the science of mind, the lecture from the Dr. Narendra Joshi sir. I must say that we are privileged to say that on the behalf of AOZ and viewer, we are highly recharged with this knowledgeable lecture on the wonderful occasion of International Yoga Day. On this uh, Yoga Day, we are aware about that. We are all knew that yoga is the necessity for nowadays. This is the activity which is very useful for awareness about health and fitness. We are also knew that this year's International Yoga Day 2023 theme is Vasudev Kutumbakam. We all know that father of yoga is Patanjali Rishi. In Narendra sir's lectures, we found various theories of development of brains, like Carl Sagan to the various rishis, how mind and brain develop profound psychological thoughts occurring in uplift of minds and Vedas. Example like horses, like a body, and Atma, like a Sarthi. This was very wonderful lecture given by the sir to us. Now it's a time for pick up a few questions from the audience. If is there any? Uh, One question I'm picking from the comments is that with AI and robotics, will our human race threaten or existence?
Can you repeat what is the question, Bhavik sir?
Uh, yes, sir. With AI and robotics, will our human race threaten to the existence?
Okay. Whether human beings are threatened or not, that is the question with
Yes,
AI and
yes,
robotics.
yes, sir.
So,
Yes.
as I said during my opening part, modern science is trying that whether they can replicate human brain, human mind, and human body also into some machines, and that has given path to development of AI, robotics, and all those lines. There is a threatening there. Why? Because there is a threat and there is some advantage also. It has got both plus and minus sides. Plus side is, yes, to a large extent it has made many things which human beings do, they can now be shifted to robots, because they are repetitive things or they are very skillful things. For example, I give some examples. There are like sewage cleaning operations are there. Earlier human beings used to go underground and clean those very dirty areas of our metro cities and all, but now you can make robots, they can be guided to go down. Why any human being should be involved in such very unhygienic places to work? You can send some machines and they will do the cleaning for you. Sewage work can be done by them. Similarly, surgeries, some robots are made to send into the human body or the other these things, and they can do the surgery and come back safe from that. So any technology can be developed for good things. So and same technology can be used for some very disastrous things also. For example, the robots are and AI is used for destroying on mass level. They can be used for destroying some nation or some race. Suppose you want some people to be destroyed, and you can use massive AI or the sort of technologies, robots, so that they can be killed much more fast and the efficiently than what human beings can do. Secondly, they do not have emotions also, so they can go on killing without thinking. So whether technology has really made us a better human beings, is it used for the right purpose or the it is used for the wrong purpose? There the key lies. What happens is any technology is actually neutral. When the question says are we threatened, answer is yes, we are threatened, because sadly the people who should be controlling the use of this technology are not able to completely control it. And today we see some of the wrong operations, wrong use of it already going on. So definitely that threat is there. In other way, are we threatened that they will surpass us and they will have better brain and better intelligence than human beings? The answer is no. They cannot do that, because no matter what they try to do, ultimately that robo or the AI device also is created by human beings only. So you require human intelligence to create an artificial intelligence or the robo, right? You cannot do it on its own, at least till now. People are trying for that also, that he should self-learning and he should learn more and more things by himself. Like we are just now we are seeing Chat GPT. You just give it the question and he starts learning itself massively and creates answers as if you feel, oh, this is a great, some pandit is sitting there, but actually nobody is there. It's just a tool which is developed by the AI. But now again the question is, what feeding is done to that? If you feed wrong things, it is going to create a asura from that. And if you give the right things, it can be creating a god from that. So ultimately the answer lies in, as we say in here, the it's a completely neutral and dangerously neutral technology. So the ultimately the responsibility lies on the human beings, where it should be used, where it should not be used, where it should be controlled. That has to be clearly decided by the societies and the leaders. Else, yes, it can threaten to even completely annihilate human and the other species. Already it has started doing that, but it cannot surpass us, at least now, because ultimately we are the people who are programming it. We are the people who are actually giving. That's where I was telling you these ancient puzzles, right from Plato and Socrates and the Yajnavalkya and the Vasishtha, all these people, Patanjali, they again started coming back to us because of this modern technology. That what is mind, what is brain, from where the mind comes inside the brain, is mind and brain same? What is the soul, what is the life? So these problems are very perpetual. These questions are not new, but we were never feeling seriousness of them till recently, because our existence was not threatened by them. Now the ignorance about this question can be actually leading us to the complete annihilation of this life on the earth, which is going to be great loss for us. At least human beings can control it. Our lower species, that they are so innocent, they cannot save themselves from this catastrophic failure, but human beings have got still some power to save themselves. That is the point I'm taking.
Thank
Yes.
you, sir, for your answer. One another question is, uh, can you explain what does mind of cell mean?
Okay, I just made a passing remark to that. Nowadays, people have like I said, starting point. I said that there was a thinking that maybe only human beings have got mind and nobody else has got, or some people from human beings have got, others don't have, or there was also thought that other animals or the lower species or the other things don't have mind and all. but that science has now already become obsolete. Now we know there is mind in everything, and that mind is not just in lower species and the small insects also. Sometimes they do the things which we cannot do, right? You as people from that world, you know better that there are some miraculous things they can do which even human beings are not able to do, like changing the colors by the some of the species can just change the color when there is somebody is going to attack them. They immediately can change their color and become a camouflage with the background which is there. This is intelligence, this is mind. Now we come to the other side, and we say not only the entire body, not only the entire thing has got mind, not only the brain has got the mind function which ancients thought. Every cell has got its own thinking power. Every cell has got a mind. Now that's the new thing which is happening. People have understood every species has got the cells, and I mean at least the world which we are talking, the cells ultimately make that organ, and organ makes that particular body. But then every cell has got its own element of mind, and those mind of cells can be energized now, and that is going to be the modern yoga. If you try to work on that, this famous line, I mean this is famous words, mind of cells, comes from the there is a mother, Pondicherry mother, who was the disciple of the Sri Aurobindo. She spoke about that when she was talking to Satprem, one of the Western disciple, who was taking down all she talks. She was taking down into diaries, and those diaries are now become very voluminous thing because her experiences, spiritual experiences, Sri Aurobindo's experiences have been massive, and so is the case with all our saints, sages, and rishis. You know, they actually experienced it inside, and they realized that the mind cells have got the mind. The every body part has got its own life. There is a being inside us. We are not just one and one brain functioning for us. There are so many multiple things, and that's the idea of mind of cells. And we can change it if we want to make our cells better. If we want to make them more efficient, we want to make them more healthy. We should do that. It's not something like oh, it happened to me, now I cannot cure it. I have been already defective. There is nothing like always defective, you know. So that's the thing we want to know.
Yes, I think Devanshi madam, you want to ask one question to
Yes,
sir.
yes.
Ask with
So
clarity.
first of all, thank you so much for the lucid and insightful discussion. I just had a question that if youngsters, inspired by your lecture, willing to begin studying our scriptures, where should they begin from?
They can begin step by step because it's, as I said, this is like a ocean, you know, and it's a oceans and oceans.
Yes,
So if
yes,
we go inside it, then we should swim. We should not get drawn into that. So that for that, I suggest that let them start with something which is easier. For example, epics.
yes.
Ramayana Mahabharata is very well known things, you know, and we are they are so close to us. Entire Asia is reverberating with Ramayana Mahabharata, as we know now. So
We
that's
own
why
it,
if you
yes.
see, very close to us, and they are not as abstract as Upanishads or Vedas are. So to go to Upanishad Vedas, you require little bit of, you know, sort of preparation. Even if you read Hatayopradipika, Yoga Vasishtha also, or Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Patanjali Yoga Sutra is a little more known thing, so you can start with. If you want directly go to yoga, I suggest Patanjali Yoga Sutra is a easy and, I mean, doable thing because it is largely publicized and available. But if you want to understanding, epics and Puranas can be a very easy point for the younger lot. Let them understand first these simple ideas, because every Purana is full of psychological things, symbolic things, and spiritual things, but it's in story form. Epics are also in story form, but it still contains all those ideas which are, it's like an encyclopedia. Everything is inside that. Now once they prepare that, once they come to that point that yes, now I can grab little more subtle things and abstract things, then they can move to the Upanishads and Vedas, because Upanishad is like a jnana kanda, you know, it's purely intellectual thing, but still full of stories. That's the beauty of Indian genius. When they are talking of maths, also they will create poetry and stories in that. When they talk of some very abstract philosophy, they want to create story from that. That is the beauty of Indian mind. So they can even go to Upanishad also, but if they are going to Upanishad, my suggestion is first only read the stories. Don't go to the philosophy and psychology of it. Simply read stories. Enjoy the stories. How Nachiketa and Yama are talking. How the brother Nick talks about Katyayani, Maitreyi, and Gargi. How these great ladies were the Vidushis, great scholars of the ancient times. So see the stories. Finish, and then once you know the story, you start liking the stories, become little, you know, aware of those characters, then start reading the philosophy and psychology. I think that's the good way to enter. And we have got separate, those interested, they can please come into join with us, because we are now going to develop separate courses and all that. I will be very happy if AOZ can jointly have some idea where we can develop studies of all these things from philosophy and psychological point of view.
Uh,
So,
Thank you, sir, for this wonderful question answer session. I think we are ending up going to the end of this session. Uh, you have covered many things which are very enlightened our knowledge. Uh, Giving the various kind of awareness, types of awareness, how this knowledge help to connect Supreme God by yoga. Yatra Pinde, Tatra Brahmande, that kind of slokas, also representation of uh, soul concern of the this session. Uh, you also describe very well Panch Kosha and other yoga things. So, on the behalf of AOZ, and I'm also thankful to you that all the AOZ official barriers are also thankful to you. Uh, uh, Hello, I am audible.
yes, yes, both of you are audible.
Yes,
Sorry
thank you
for
so much.
interruption.
Yeah.
Sorry for interruption. Uh, for this wonderful occasion on the Yoga Day, we got a wonderful lecturer, Dr. Narendra Joshi sir. We are thankful to you on behalf of AOZ and AOZ Office Barrier are also thankful to you. I am also thankful to our Office Barrier for their support and help. Also thankful to Dr. Devanti Joshi for introduction of the speaker very well and very carefully. Dr. P.C. Mankodi sir, President of our AOZ, for thank you very much sir for your guidance and support. Thank you all viewers on the YouTubes. Please, students and faculty members, please like and subscribe our AOZ channel for upcoming events. And thank you all for your presence. Thank you very much.
Very quickly, we shall have an overview of upcoming events of Association of Zoologists. Uh, yes, so we are going to have uh, programs from 26th to 28th June 2023 that are mainly based on mind matters. It is a 3 days online retreat, and yes, association is waiting for you to join. The resource persons are Dr. Falguni Jani, Sudipta Roy, and Miss Kanan Rawal. So we are looking forward for your association and joining in this. Yes, as a part of success stories of zoologist, Dr. Sunita Jana will be talking on 30th June. That is in the evening, of course, as we do every time. And yes, from 10th to 12th July 2023, we are going to organize a workshop, again going to organize a workshop on basics of field ecology, that is mainly covering the topics like fundamentals of distance sampling, theoretical and field aspects, use of equipment, etc., etc., the basic equipments, data sheet creation, implementing LIT and all. Yes, next. It will be this workshop will be there at Jambugoda Wildlife Sanctuary, and the workshop detail will also be given to you, sprayed in the WhatsApp platform, as well as the link will also be there. Our collaborators for this, or our knowledge partner is Department of Zoology, the Maharaja Sayaji Rao University of Baroda, and the resource person is Christy Sylvia. She is consultant Tiger Conservation Program WWF India. I know we are running bit short of time, but let me express one thing. When we have on this wonderful day a wonderful event, if Nehal ma'am allows, I wanna express a closing remark. The expression of today's uh, program. If we have 2 minutes, okay. Thank you, ma'am. So I just came across a story that yeah, in Egypt, once Cleopatra, when she was imprisoned by the Caesar, she not only said a single word. When she very aggressively said that you ruined my farms, you ruined my soldiers, you ruined everything, and my soldiers, women, children, everything, you killed everyone. I didn't utter a single word. But uh, but what happened? Yes, when your soldiers destroyed my library, because it not only destroyed few books, but it destroyed the scriptures, my heritage, my country, everything. So yeah, heritage and scriptures means a lot to a nation than any other thing. And those jewels, those precious pearls were taken to us by Narendra sir. So we are indeed thankful, and we indeed are looking forward for such collaborations, sir. Thank you so much once again. And with this, we are completing our program. Thank you so much. Thanks, all the participants.